Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's well, here in California, it seems like afternoon again. We got into our daylight savings time, so it's not dark at 5 o'clock anymore. But it is a little after 5 o'clock on a Wednesday here. Geez, what is it? It's March 16th. Go figure that one out. It's this year is cruising at a blistering pace, and we're almost into the realm of springtime. And I'm sitting here with Craig Cecil, a free man, a man who is no longer encumbered by the government shackles. And
wearing my St. Patrick's shirt from Paul Free. I don't know if you can read it.
I can. Yeah, absolutely. And it couldn't be more true, you know. I believe anybody who spends 2 minutes in combat is a combat veteran. And I believe anybody who spends 2 minutes in custody is a veteran of the drug war. But my God, you put in, I don't know, the equivalent of 5 tours or more. Certainly we're just glad to have you back. You know, I think that where we're sitting here right now is what I had visualized for many years. And you know, we didn't know how it was going to happen, but it did happen. I'm going to go on about a 2-minute rant here real quick, Craig, and I've just got a few things I want to lay out for folks. You know, this is a nonprofit endeavor. This is the Human Solution International, working obviously with a lot of other groups. If you listen to this show, there's always other groups that are involved, other activists, other individuals. And, you know, it's a team effort, this work that we're doing and have been doing. And I just want to remind everybody, you know, as springtime comes along, almost every year I get in this sort of dynamic where I you know, do what they call spring cleaning, if you will, you know, go through life and start taking account of things and seeing what's working, what's not, and you know, removing some things and fixing some things and getting rid of some things and starting some new things. And we're kind of doing that at the Human Solution right now. We're a great organization, and our size fluctuates. It ebbs and flows as it always has. And we've taken on a huge amount of projects, and a huge project with our Welcome to Mars reentry program. And, you know, we've got all these things going on, working with all these people. And we have decided pretty recently, number one, that we need to do a volunteer drive. We were working on, raising money, and we're working on, building this mentor program, and we're doing that. We're going to keep doing that, but we're going to roll things back a little bit. We're going to go and lay out a volunteer drive, and the only way to really do that successfully is to, have your own stuff in order. And by that, I mean the projects that we have, the tasks that we have, the needs that we have, and the ways that volunteers can fulfill them. And one of the things that we do and can do and will do to gain volunteers is to satisfy community service hours. And so one of the things we'll be doing is getting registered with different courtrooms across the nation. And so if you're interested in helping us with that project, or if you're in any way involved, or if you know somebody or need to satisfy some court-ordered community service hours, get with us. We got a great website, that's thsintl.org. Or you can call up the show right now, and Becca can help you out. 563-999-3052. You can get a hold of me easily on social media. My phone number's everywhere, easy to reach. Anyhow, so community service hours are really, it's a win-win situation, so imagine you're in a situation where you got ordered to do 40 hours of community service, and you got a choice. You can go work at Goodwill, sweeping floors and putting items on racks, or you can go, I don't know if you can go clean the highway, or whatever, all the other different ways you can do it. Or you can work with a human rights centered 501c3 nonprofit that's helping victims of the drug war and working on securing basic civil liberties. I don't know, seems like a great deal for me. I don't want any court-ordered community service hours, but I tell you this, if I had them, I know where I would want to satisfy them. Another thing we're working on is, wow, that was a complete train wreck there. An internship with local colleges. So we're registered with the Cal State Long Beach and the Long Beach Community College. And because not obviously, but to any of you who don't know, I'm situated in Southern California, where there's, many colleges to choose from, but pretty much everybody that's involved with this organization or listening to this show has several colleges, probably within shouting distance. And we're learning the ropes on how to get registered and putting some ads out there. And I believe that's another win-win. If you're taking a college course that offers an internship, sorry, my animals are going off here. What a great life experience it could be to work with the nonprofit like this. And then, of course, we're working on getting some grants to actually hire some folks. And then there's always good old-fashioned volunteers that, of course, we're always looking for. Our website, again, thsintl.org, and you can sign up to be a volunteer right there on the website. And we would love to get you involved. We're organizing right now some very clear goals, and it doesn't really matter what kind of skill set you have. If you want to make a difference, we'll make it easy for you. And on that note, I just want to remind everybody that, again, we're all volunteers out here. Most people that are involved with nonprofit work are volunteers. And that means that you've decided that something is important enough to donate your time to accomplish. And, the work that we've historically done is about supporting people that have been charged with crimes that are cannabis related. That's been the lion's share of the work. We've done some work involving Native American issues and a few other issues, but we've decided that it's important to support people that have lost their freedoms because of the cannabis plant. You know, we're a very liberty-minded organization, and if you look around the world and you look at places where there is freedom and contrast it with the places where there's less freedom, I think you might determine that this freedom stuff is certainly worth standing up for, certainly worthy of putting an effort in. And everybody over the last 12 years that has put that effort in, you know, again, we're eternally grateful, and you've helped us to accomplish all the things that we have. Right now, our biggest project that we're working on is our reentry program. It's a mentor-based program that helps victims of the drug war, inmates that have been recently released or are going to be recently released. And we're giving them a hand to getting integrated back into society. We're helping them in a number of ways, but a lot of it is being there and showing some guidance from the point of view of somebody who's integrated here in society with somebody who isn't and hasn't been for a while. And so we've decided that this is a worthy project of joining forces with. Now, this is where things get tricky, because human beings are human beings wherever they go. And I just want to remind everybody that sometimes bad people, and I mean inherently scumbag people, sometimes people that would cut your throat just as soon as shake your hand, do good things. And they, why? I don't know. I've seen it happen before. People that are just nasty, horrible people have stepped up and decided to be a part of some project that was getting some good done. Maybe it's to find prey or to find their next victim. I don't know, but I've seen it happen. I've also seen apathetic people, people that couldn't give a damn about anything, probably not even themselves, but all of a sudden decide to put forth an effort for something. Why? Again, I don't know. And then maybe as important as these observations that I've had, I've also noticed a lot of times inherently good people sometimes do crappy things. And maybe they mean it, maybe they don't, maybe they had a moment of emotion, or maybe they're just whatever, who knows? It doesn't really matter. The point is, all of these things happen. And, you know, we're sitting here watching a war unfold, and it, you know, in my lifetime, there's been a lot of these situations that have happened. And if you've ever seen an explosion happen where there was a building in place. Oh, Craig, you got somebody that needs to talk to us?
Yes, that I've gotten a call. I don't know if you've seen me duck off and answer the phone, but there's some phone numbers you can't ignore.
Right.
And this one's from the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
All right.
And this is Raymond. And Raymond is serving a life sentence for marijuana.
Wow.
There really is such a thing, life without the possibility of parole. And I'd like Ray, say hello and tell us a little bit about how long you've been in prison and your sentence and things like that, if you will.
Hello, Ray.
Yes, hello. Anybody there?
Yeah, we hear you.
We can hear you, Ray.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a life sentence for selling marijuana, dealing with that. Been down for 13 years now. I'm 60 years old. Well, in a FCI medium penitentiary or medium correctional facility. I was in penitentiary at USP for 8 years. And I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of them that's has had a lot of violent crime, get out, get in trouble, and come back. And I'm just trying to get back out in the world and get a second chance.
Hey, Ray, how many violent offenders like bank robbers have you actually seen them come in and then go home?
Bank robbers?
Yes.
How many?
Yeah, I mean, how often do you see them, which are actually violent offenders. They've actually threatened somebody to get money from the bank.
Yeah, they get a lot less time than what I have, and to get out and repeat the
Wow.
same thing instead of what I've got.
What do you think when you see this stuff on TV and we hear it all over the place, where people say, like here in Illinois, that marijuana is legal here? What do you have to say about that?
Well, I was from Illinois. It's just it's not a good feeling when you see that it's I'm still doing time for something that's legal.
And you know, and a lot of these people really believe that marijuana is legal now just because they can, you know, drive into the dispensary and walk out with a bag of weed. But you know, how does that make, you know, you and I and so many other people that have served a lot of time for marijuana? I mean, you know, what do you feel when you see like I remember seeing a special on 60 Minutes about marijuana grow operations with way more marijuana than I had ever seen.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of big cartels or big drug people where you see where they have a whole trainload of marijuana, then they've got less time than what I did for a few pounds.
Well, how about the government? As you know, our fight to get marijuana legalized seems to have about 70% of the US population in favor of it. But there's a cannabis industry now that's kind of protected by laws that say nobody else can get the licenses that they have to distribute marijuana. And they're kind of fighting against everybody having the ability to go open a cannabis store. You know, what's your feeling on that, that those people that are actually enjoying the industry that you help create, but yet they're fighting to keep you in prison?
Well, it's still illegal federal. The state can, or if federal ones come in, they could come in and charge them with possession of it, but they choose not to, and they're allowed to make money off of it while I'm still sitting in penitentiary while they're allowing people to get rich.
And how many people do you see getting out of prison that have been in and out of prison pretty much their whole life, and you kind of look at them walking out of the prison door telling you that they're going to get a big pile of cocaine and get their life back on track? I mean, how does that make you think about, you know, what your release would look like and what most of them, you know, what their release looks like?
There's a guy just left today. He's violated 4 different times for bank robbery and different things, and they keep just letting him out. But somebody like me, they just I can't get that opportunity. So I mean, he comes back in and then he'll brag about what he done the last time he was here at the same place. So he's been here 4 different times from the last 15 years.
Wow.
Isn't that pathetic? And what do you think your chances are that if they let you out tomorrow, what do you think your chances are that you'll never be back in prison?
Well, I can guarantee you I'll never be back in prison. I've definitely learned my lesson. It's never, whatever they tell me, I'm going to be whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do. That's just like when I got a job here, they asked me about escaping. I told them I'd never, if they had that back gate open back there, I wouldn't walk out of it unless they give me my walking papers. But we got less than a minute here. The phone just beeped. I don't think you can hear the beep, but that tells me that we're a short time. We only have 1 minute left. It's less than 1 minute.
Well, tell you what, how about if you use that minute and tell our audience, which is people that are interested in cannabis, tell our audience what you really want to tell them from the prison.
Well, just I not for sure what the audience consists of. If they're, it's not a business to be getting into if you're looking at it doing it illegally. If you're just doing it for your own personal use and stuff for health issues, it has a lot of great health issues to it. But criminally wise, the federal government is not going to look kindly to it. So just kind of stay away from that edge of it.
Well, thanks. I'm sure that's good advice. Oh, I think, yep. That beep was, well, I think you know what that sound means.
I know that beep well. Yeah, yeah. And you know it's kind of, I mean, that was a pointed conversation in so many ways, because you know this guy's been obviously just decimated by the prison. You know, they sucked the spirit right out of him, and some people, when they get faced with a situation, they dig in and they double down on their commitment. His scenario, obviously, you know, his involvement wasn't from a you know, from a point of view that was I don't know. He didn't have his heart in his business the same way that some people do, and his goal wasn't necessarily to end the prohibition. He just wanted to see people avoid the pain of it. And, you know, that was, to me, sad to listen to that, because it told me that in so many ways that they're still winning. You know, they beat this guy down and they took away from him something that never hurt anybody. They took away his desire, willingness, or you know.
They did. They took his spirit. It took me months to get him to finally call me for the first time, because he had just given up hope. And
Yeah.
And that's why I want on our show, and we're the only ones that do it, of all the cannabis activist groups that I know of, including I got mailers today from 2 of the other advocacy groups, but they talk about a prisoner. And
Right.
we have the opportunity to actually, you know, instead of talking about somebody sentenced to life in prison, you just heard the words come out of his own mouth. You
Right.
could sense his attitude coming out of that telephone. You know he's beaten down, and he's in a medium security prison in Wisconsin, and he's just beaten down. Like he says, if the back gate was open, he wouldn't run out of it. He's
Right.
just given up.
Yeah. And
I have to admit, as a lifer, I would sure think about it.
I'm right there with you. And you know, that's the thing too, though, is that, you know, he brings up some good points, which so often get you know, forgotten about. So for one point, you know, there's a lot of groups out there that are doing good advocacy work. They're bringing the attention of these people to other people. You got to support that. It's a great idea. And some people are raising money to give to these guys. Well, that's also great. They don't have, you know, it gives them at least some kind of, you know, a good gesture that they can get some little bit of freedom to spend some money in there best as they can. That's definitely a thing. But I think that for us to be able to, in real time, be part of their lives and to share their struggle and to connect with their family members and to be involved in helping them solve their problems, you know, and hopefully, and in some cases, and hopefully in more and more cases, be part of ultimately their release. You know, it's something that we've had a hand in many cases, and I suppose it'll continue till we finally win. But you brought up a great point in that a lot of the cannabis industry people are actually, you know, we've reached out to a number of them to get support for this program, and so far we've come up goose eggs. I'm not saying they don't support anything. I'm just saying, you know, when it comes to this grassroots, boots on the ground, actually helping the actual people, I haven't had any company aside from my own company and a couple of other companies that I personally know that have bothered to raise their hand on this, and yet they benefit from this industry and they're still at risk. You know, Ray was 100% correct when he said it's still federally illegal. And if they wanted to, the feds could come in and take it all away, just like that.
And they do it. That's why I had talked about Danny Martinez, who
Right.
owned, legal, medical dispensaries in Michigan
Right.
until the feds came and put handcuffs on him.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
And
we
somebody
were
was a friend of his, was a friend of mine in the Terre Haute prison. So, I
Wow.
mean, they didn't just take him, they took people that he knew. And
right.
he didn't rat on them, I mean, it's just, they gathered up anybody associated with the business.
That's how they do it. That's how they do it. Well, it's crazy. Any word from Rory?
Not yet. He's waiting for the paperwork to go through the process, just as I was. And as you know, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, being a government agency, things just don't work quite as well as and it's not definitely not as quickly as we'd like them to. But hopefully that is moving forward, and all the indications are the big decision makers have already signed off. So hopefully all the minor players will go along with it as well.
I love
Hopefully
it.
he'll be walking out of prison. I'm hoping the end of April.
That would be fantastic. And, for everybody who was involved in that project, we had a bunch of people that were ready to do a big push, a big call to action. We had gotten a press release all written. And then right at the last second, we had to pull the plug on it because it wasn't needed and it might even have caused a negative backlash. And as an advocate and activist, we have to remember there's a lot of times, when you go to court, a lot of times going to court for somebody, nothing happens. You spend a whole day and they're just like continuance, and you come back.
Well, as you know, with Rory, they did say that the telephone calls made the difference.
Right.
But as soon as we knew that they were suddenly leaning in his favor, we got off the gas pedal and stepped on the brake.
Exactly. And that's part of, being an effective activist and how important it is. Well, Craig, we're going to be having a short show today. We got a little under 2 minutes to go. I wanted you to know that we did reach out to that attorney with regards to our guy up in Northern California. I don't know if anything has come of it yet, but he at least has the information, and hopefully we'll be able to get some support. I'm going to turn the last minute over to you.
I had a phone call yesterday that was even better than that phone call with Ray today.
Wow.
The call yesterday was from Christian Ferreira. He's coming down to with 5 years left on his sentence, and started to apply for the CARES Act home confinement and asked for some of my guidance on it. And then he came back saying that they had shot him down and he was just going to lay down and forget it and all this and that. And I explained to him how to reapply and what buttons to push and things like that. And the call I got from him yesterday was to announce that he was sitting at home with his daughter.
All right. Wow.
And he was just dumbfounded, like he said, like what I went to with the Welcome to Mars, he was on Mars. The only thing he knew is that he didn't want to leave his daughter's side and she didn't want to run away from him,
Wow.
So we've got another victory, and just by, talking people through and just giving them the guts to, to fight, just as we know, Tom Corby reminds us every week that you can't win if you don't fight. And Christian is one of our fighters. And, granted, he still has an ankle monitor and he has to stay at home, but he doesn't have to wear khaki clothes and he doesn't have to eat the garbage food they throw at him.
And Craig, I think you always kind of understate the value that you bring to this, but truly your experience and being able to share all the things that you've learned, that have helped you and helped so many other people. There aren't a lot of people that would have been able to hear what he had to say and have any lick of advice that would help especially not in the way yours did. And that's what this is all about, folks. This is our Welcome to Mars reentry program. And Craig Cecil is, you know, just an instrumental piece of this puzzle. Well, Craig, this is our glitch. I got to cut the show short. So I'll give you your last party shot here.
All right, just stay in the fight, people. Christian did, and he's sitting at home with his arms around his daughter. You know, let's see what the rest of us can do for all the thousands of prisoners that are still serving time for our, as Tom Corby would say, our beloved plan.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Craig. And I'm looking forward to this fishing trip that we got brewing. And this is going to be exciting. It's going to make my whole entire year. All right. We'll see you all next week, folks.